You how to get clarity, how to create a life full of meaning and purpose. Hi, I'm Croy Sather. And when I was in my later 30s, I was asking myself this question, what do I want to do? What is the one big epic thing that I want to do? What's next in my life? I had been a carpenter for years, and that wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I was looking for a life change. And that's where I had heard about a guy who had run across America. I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. And so that's what started me on that journey to make that massive shift from living an ordinary life, a nondescript life, a regular life as a carpenter, to shift to become an author, an expert on mindset, on creating your life by design. But it all started with this question: what would you do if you knew you would succeed? Or another question you could ask yourself, if I could do anything, what would I do? What would I do next? It doesn't have to be the great big global thing you do in your whole life, what the purpose of your life is, but what's next? What's next in your life? If you're not asking these kinds of questions, then you're just going to keep doing the same thing you've always done, and you'll keep getting the same thing you've always got. And if the things that you've got up until this point are not the things you want, well, then it's time for a change. It's time to do things differently. And that starts by asking yourself the right questions, asking yourself new questions. Ask a better question, you'll get a better answer. The challenge is most people, they don't pause long enough to ask the question. They don't pause long enough to say, well, if I wanted an amazing life, what would that look like? If I was living an amazing life for me, what would that look like? And that's where you start. And that's why you should be journaling, most every day, if not every day. What do I want my life to look at? What does an extraordinary life look like to me? How much am I working? What am I working on? Who am I around professionally, personally? What are the things I'm doing while I'm working? What are the things I'm doing when I'm not working? How many hours a week, how many hours a day do you want to work? These are all things to question, to ponder, to get clarity on, because you can't achieve a goal unless you have clarity on that goal. So if you have a big bullseye, you have a big target and it's got the bullseye in the center. If you don't know what that bullseye is, or if you don't even know what that target is, then you're not going to be able to hit it, because you're just going to be blindly shooting arrows or blindly shooting a gun all over the place that's not going to be going in any one direction. And you're just going to be going day by day without actually achieving anything extraordinary. You're going to keep achieving the same things you've achieved. And if that's not what you want, well, then you need to start looking towards a new goal, getting clarity on the goal. And that's the first step, is you've got to have clarity on the goal that you want. So that's where you start. You've got to ask yourself the questions. What do you want out of life? Now, if you can figure out the life goal that you want for your global whole life, that's great. But most people, that's very difficult to find. So what do you want to do next? What's your next big goal? Maybe your next big goal is to lose weight. And so that should be the center of your focus for next. Maybe it's to double your income. That should be the focus of what's next. Your center of gravity should be moving you towards that one goal. Maybe it's to start dating after a divorce. Maybe it's to recover after a financial setback. Maybe it's to do something you've never done before. And so what is that thing? Get clear on the goal that you want to achieve next. And then once you have clarity on that thing that you want, then reverse engineer it. What do I have to do to get there? So if it's weight loss, as an example, well, you need to eat healthier and you need to exercise more. People overcomplicate losing weight and being healthy. I exercise for about 20 to 30 minutes a day, and that's it. I eat healthy. I eat veggies and fruits and good meat, and that's Mediterranean diet. That's it. And then I exercise every day. What if your goal is to double your income? What do you have to do to double your income? Is it at the job you're working at now? Can you increase sales? Can you increase revenue? Can you increase bonuses? If not, then what side hustle or side job do you want to do? Or what investment do you want to focus on to be able to double your income? Now, you may be able to double your income this week or this month, or maybe it's going to take you several months or longer. But doubling your income, even if that took a year, 1 year from now, if you doubled your income, would that make a huge difference in your life? Absolutely guarantee it will make a massive difference, even if that took you a year. But most people, they don't start because it's going to take a long time to achieve that goal. So they don't do anything. But what if you set a goal from now? 1 year from now, I'm going to be 50 pounds lighter. 1 year from now, I'm going to have double my income. 1 year from now, I'm going to have saved up enough money that I can travel for a month. So now that you have your goal for 1 year, now what if you ask yourself another question? How can I compress that and achieve that in 6 months? So if you have that goal, how do I double my income? How do you double your income in 6 months? Is that possible? I don't know. It depends on your circumstances, but I'm willing to bet it probably is. And so that's where you have to ask questions is how do I get to a goal and how do I get there efficiently? How do I get there effectively? And what I find to be one of the most important things you ask yourself, how can I make it a one hell of a good time? How can I enjoy myself doing it? Because if you're going to be miserable doing it, well, yeah, you'll have the reward, but why should it be miserable when you can choose to not have it miserable and you can choose to have it as a fun activity as well, to make it easier, to make it fast, to make it effective, and to make it enjoyable. So there's more questions that you should ask. And then you have to reverse engineer it. What steps do you need to do every day? Now, I'm big for setting big goals, epic goals, massive goals. I'm totally for that. But there's another side of goal setting that most people don't talk about. And that's the activities you have to do every day to be able to achieve that goal that you want. And so some things in life is all about making a goal, setting a goal, and achieving that goal. But sometimes you're better off just setting up the things you need to do every day to be able to get to that goal. So for weight loss, as an example, it's easier to set the goal of what do I need to do every day rather than say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by the end of the year. If you do the right things every day, you're going to lose the weight that you want to lose. You'll lose maybe a little less, maybe a little more, who knows? But if you're doing the right thing, you're creating the right lifestyle, you're going to get the result that you want. It's the same thing for money, for investing, for business. If you're doing the right things day after day after day, you don't necessarily have to set a goal. You will achieve those amazing things just simply as a fact of doing the things that are important to do every single day to get you to that goal. So there's two ways of setting the goal. You can have the goal and then the steps to take it, or you can set it up so you have to do the right things every day, and then that goal will happen as a default for doing the right things every day. And so that's why you have to get clarity and then reverse engineer it to what do you want. So get clarity on the goal you want, get a specific outcome, and then what are the things you have to do every single day. And so if you're in your 40s or 50s, or maybe even you're starting early in your 30s and you're starting to ponder life, is like, what's this about? How do I create a life full of meaning, of purpose? How do I have the kind of wealth that I want? How do I have it all? Because that's the phase that I'm in my life right now. It's like, how do I have it all? I've had the adventure of having lots of wealth. Then I've had the adventure of traveling the world. Then I've had the adventure of being nomadic. I've had all of these incredible life adventures, running across America, breaking the world record in Death Valley, all these amazing things that most people are like, I would love to live a life like yours. But now I'm at the phase, because I've been out of balance for so many times in my life, where it's been all about money. It's been all about adventure. It's all about nomadic. It's been all about whatever it is at that season of life, which is great. Now I'm like, you know what? I want it all. I want everything. And that's what I'm working towards now, is how do I bring it all together? The kind of wealth that I want. I'm in fantastic shape, so I have nowhere to go with that. I'm in top shape for my whole life. I'm in my mid-50s, and yet I'm still as strong and as healthy as I was in my 20s. But how do I create the other things and the lifestyle I want, the travel that I want, the semi-nomadic life that I want, and the income that I want? And so that's where I have clarity now. And if I don't have that clarity, I won't achieve it. I'll keep getting the kind of results that I was always getting, which have been extraordinary, but they've been out of balance. And so that's something you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do to get to that life? And then what does that life look like? Are you willing to be out of balance for a season? All for that, because I think that's what happens often in life. But at the end of that, what do you want your life to look at? So maybe you're off balance for 6 months or a year or 18 months, but then at the end of it, what's life going to look like? How much money do you have coming in? What is your fitness like? What are your relationships like? What is your relationship with yourself like? What is your spiritual life like? So that's why you have to journal every day. If you're looking for a way to journal that has a system and a program that goes you through it, go to the link in the below to get your free copy of the journal, my Unstoppable Life Journal. It will take you through the process on how to get clarity, how to set your goals, how to reverse engineer it, and how to create the life that you want so that you too can have it all. Go ahead and click the link in the bottom.